The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are simply that, opinions. All are presumed innocent until proven otherwise in a court of law. Sensitive topics are discussed. Discretion is advised.
I was such an internet kid. The internet is really what I claim as my home. Like, if you ask me where I'm from, I say the internet. Because I was just online every day, doing my schoolwork, making songs, making a video, being a YouTuber, content creator, posting TikToks, posting on Instagram. Like, that's really my neighborhood was Instagram, and the society was the internet. You know what I'm saying?
We're digging into the relationship of singer David and Celeste. The 15-year-old girl's body was found in the trunk of his Tesla. We'll discuss the interesting connection that the two shared. Plus, a deadly shooting at a country club in New Hampshire. One man is killed, another man is charged. So what was behind the chaotic scene? And a history of child abuse claims. The Arizona father who's accused in the hot car death of his little girl is back in our spotlight this morning. This time for incidents that happened with his mistake older daughter. Also this hour, colorful characters, shall we say, in the Machete murder plot trial. So could the optics in the courtroom tip the scales of justice for defendant Dakota Van Patten? It's all coming up next for you right here on Opening Statements. Good Tuesday morning to you and welcome to Opening Statements. I'm Julie Grant. Are you ready to have some coffee and some court? This is the show where we get you all warmed up and ready to go for the big day ahead on Court TV Live. We got a great show planned with great guests, so let's get started as we always do. Grab that cup of coffee right now. It's time for my opening statement. Where there's smoke, there is usually fire. And when there's a dead body in someone's car, that is some serious smoke. The investigation continues this morning into the discovery of 15-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez in singer David's abandoned car. The teen was reported missing on Valentine's Day in 2024, and while we still don't know how she died, Los Angeles police investigators are describing her body as severely decomposed and also dismembered. Now, musician David, real name David Burke, has not been criminally charged. I want to be very clear on that. That being said, a lot can happen in 24 hours. We could potentially be covering a prosecution of him, potentially, depending upon what the investigation uncovers. So this morning, let's look at the smoke. Celeste had a boyfriend named David. David reportedly wrote an unreleased song titled Celeste in 2023. The two of them had matching tattoos on their right index fingers saying, shh. There's also a photo of David in Celeste's neighborhood. Her neighborhood about 70 miles away from Los Angeles. Now, if I am David Burke, I am assembling the best legal team that music money can buy. Because there is so much smoke surrounding him, I think it could turn into a fire at any minute. That's my opening statement. Let me know if you like it. Right now, it's time for your daily docket. Okay, so let's look at your daily docket right now. So in Iowa, we've got some testimony resuming this morning at 10 a.m. in the Machete murder plot trial for defendant Dakota Van Patten. So there is a 4-hour embargo placed on when we can broadcast this. We have to follow the court order, so our cameras will start filming and then we'll bring it to you as soon as that time is up. In Tennessee, we've got the Baby River murder trial beginning today. Opening statements set any time after 10 a.m. Defendant Brandon Isabel is accused of shooting his girlfriend, then tossing their 2-day-old baby into a river. And in Mississippi, we've got opening statements expected in the plotting parents murder trial for defendant Jeffrey Spence. This guy's accused of killing his daughter's boyfriend. His wife, Karen Spence, was also charged, but she has since pleaded guilty. Right now, let's turn to your top story. So it has been 2 weeks since the body of Celeste Rivas Hernandez was found in the trunk of a Tesla owned by up-and-coming singer David, the guy I was just talking about in my opening statement. Now, although no charges have been filed at this point, the details behind the case and the death are quite mysterious, and they're taking over the national headlines. Sunday, there was a vigil held to remember Celeste. She went missing over a year ago on Valentine's Day in 2024. And her alleged relationship with singer David remains a key focus in the case by police and the online sleuths. I want to show you this clip obtained by TMZ where she appears to be sitting with him as they're doing an online video. Take a look.
Yo, wait.
Oh, look it. Answer that one. That's so mean if you don't answer
Which
that.
one? What's good, David? Big fan, big spot me. Yo, thank you, Mitochondria.
I gotta stop with him if you even... We need to delete this.
Maz, can we delete all VODs? And then as soon as the stream ends, delete the stream too?
Again, this clip from TMZ allegedly showing David and Celeste streaming together. This was in January of 2024. So this is right before she went missing. Now, he has not been named a suspect, but you know, we've seen this case affecting his career, right? We know he canceled his world tour. His real name, David Anthony Burke, okay? And so if he is charged, that would be the legal name that police would charge. Now, this guy, if you haven't heard of him, we got a little bit about him I want to share with you. So he burst onto the scene in 2022, went from recording songs in his sister's closet to performing in front of hundreds of fans. And this was something that was highlighted in a documentary showing his rise, particularly to the Gen Z population. Now, David is cooperating with Los Angeles investigators, but he's been remaining publicly silent during the investigation thus far. I've got two great guests standing by to dig into this. Private investigator, also military veteran, Manuel Gomez is with us, and media personality, radio star, and rapper Headcrack is with us. Good morning to you both. Headcrack, I want to start with you, please. We know that David rose to fame from TikTok videos, and I've had a lot of people reaching out to me asking about this case and saying, I haven't heard of him, I don't know his songs. How much radio play was he getting at the time that this case broke wide open?
I mean, not a huge radio star, but like we live in a time now where you don't necessarily have to be played on the radio to be huge. I mean, there was a whole ecosystem of people who were mostly familiar with him from Fortnite because his songs were featured, you know, in Fortnite at some point or another. And then there's also the TikTok component and other ways that people could find their music, YouTube, SoundCloud, and all that other stuff. I mean, he was getting some minor radio play, but nothing like, you know, he wasn't on the radio like Chris Brown was.
Sure. And touring, he was, we know that. He made the announcement about canceling. What do you think about that, Headcrack? Was that a smart business move for him?
I mean, yeah, because, I mean, I think the hoopla and the hype that would have been surrounding the tour, because you would have had people there who were supportive of David, then you also would have had the protesters, and maybe somebody might do something crazy to him, too. Which I know there's probably a group of people who probably, like, you know, hope that it happens based on the things that they're seeing. But, you know, we don't know what's going on until all the facts come out, even though it isn't looking good for this guy.
Yeah, right, Headcrack. Thank you for that. I have a statement from the medical examiner. This was issued to us at Court TV. And Manuel, I want to talk to you about the investigation. The ME said, quote, the decedent was found severely decomposed inside of a vehicle on September the 8th. She appears to have been deceased inside the vehicle for an extended period of time before she was found. We also know that her body was dismembered. The body parts that were located in the car were reportedly found in a bag. And the car was abandoned. Manuel, tell us what the facts so far in this case are indicating to you.
Well, Julie, first of all, I'm disturbed that nobody's classifying this as a murder. You just said her body was dismembered. That means it was chopped up. That's a murder. That's one. Second, why isn't David in jail? At a minimum, he should be in jail for improper disposal of human remains. This is a felony every state in the United States of America. It is a felony. The fact is, it was his Tesla, his car. He reported it missing, but the body was in there before that time that it decomposed. You can tell by the age of the decomposing how long it was in there. The fact is, he should be charged at a minimum for inappropriate disposal of human remains, and this needs to be classified as a murder. I'm not accusing him as a murderer, but what I am saying, it is a murder because she was dismembered. And another point, Julie, you said about the tattoo on the finger, they're identical. So if I was the investigators on this case, I would be pressing David to find out who did that tattoo. And I can guarantee you, like your name is Julie Grant, that tattoo artist will have a record showing that he did Celeste's tattoo and David's tattoo at the same time. The tattoos are identical, which means that it was the same artist, the same signature was done on it. That is almost like a fingerprint, the artwork that was done. And finally, Julie, in his song, one of his songs, he says, I don't care about the law. I'm being with you every day is a felony. He talks about and sings about being with a minor. It's Celeste. Why isn't he charged with the charge of inappropriate disposal of human remains and for being with a minor? This is a travesty that he is not in jail right now at a minimum for those two charges.
Manuel, I know you feel very strongly, and look, fair assessment. He has not been charged. These LA police investigators are working the case as they see fit, and we know you've worked a lot of cases in your career. You're a retired NYPD as well, so perhaps he will be charged, perhaps. I want to talk a little bit about the song lyrics, because this is a discussion we've had before. To your last point, Manuel, Headcrack, I'd love to ask you about this. Do you think there's anything that can be read into some of the lyrics that this guy has written?
I mean, it shows a fascination with macabre art, you know, because like some of these lyrics, even though they parallel to what's going on right now, a lot of these things that people are using as examples are things that actually happened before, you know, Celeste went missing. But the uncanny resemblance to the descriptions and the things that are being said, you can't ignore that. And it does paint a picture of a certain psychological profile that, yo, this guy may be capable of some horrific things. You know what I mean?
Definitely, Headcrack. That's a great point. You know, Manuel, I know you've seen this time and time again. You know, sometimes there's the public image that takes over, and we see people who publicly have one image we're used to, and then we may be stunned and amazed at charges that come because of what's going on in their private life. Would you speak to this, Manuel?
Well, I gotta say, Julie, he admits on national TV and in interviews that he's an internet guy. That's his breed. The internet was his background. That's what he grew up on. He posted everything. His internet postings are gonna be his undoing in this case, because he's posted pictures and videos with her. And the more we subpoena Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, the more if the law enforcement are subpoenaing them, and I hope they are, you will see the evidence showing that this guy was having carnal knowledge, knowing that he was with a minor. And also, allegedly, she was supposed to have been pregnant, okay? This guy, again, is a danger to society. He needs to be arrested at a minimum for being with a minor.
We've wondered about that, Manuel, and hopefully the medical examiner can make a definitive finding on that at autopsy. Lots of questions. Was she pregnant? Were there drugs in her system? You know, first my thought, and this I think comes from my background having been a prosecutor, when I heard about this case and her being missing, and I thought, oh my gosh, was this some kind of a accidental overdose death or something? But then we hear about her being dismembered, and to your point, Manuel, I mean, this is a murder. This is a murder. Somebody murdered this girl. You're right. You know, absolutely. Somebody abused her corpse. So we know, you know, two facts. You know, have happened here, or at least, at the very least, an abuse of a corpse, because I suppose it could have been an accidental death, you know, and the autopsy will hopefully tell us. Did she ingest something accidentally? Did she fall accidentally? Who knows? This is like a law school problem. Head Crack, let me ask you something. His streaming numbers have been soaring. He's got a song called Romantic Homicide, soared to 2 million streams. Does this surprise you at all?
Not at all, because the fascination of people and wanting to know what's going on, who is this guy? Because there's a lot of people who, David fell on their radar in the last week or two. So, you know, when you see somebody pop up in the news like this, especially with a crime of this magnitude, you know, people lean into it. What's going on? Let me check this guy out. And, you know, that's going to help the spike. I mean, granted, you know, you only have to listen to a couple of seconds of a song in order for it to register and get the play. But at the end of the day, he is benefiting on the charts because of this crime. And sad state of affairs, but that also like plays a lot into the curiosity of we as humans. We want to know what's going on. Who is this guy? What is this song is about? Let me see what I can pick out. Everybody wants to be an internet detective.
You're right, Head Crack. That is the truth. Everybody thinks they know better than the professionals like Manuel Gomez here. I just smile. You know, I think, hey, whatever floats somebody's boat. We'll keep following this. Any more updates, we're going to bring them in. But again, no charges for David Burke at this point in time. He is cooperating with investigators, and we're waiting to hear what the cause of death is for this young lady. Manuel Gomez is coming with us. Head Crack, we got to let you do your own show. Thank you so much for making time for us. We appreciate you. Still to come here on opening statements.
Mr. Nadeau, I understand you had an opportunity to meet with counsel.
Yes.
And she has gone over the charge in this matter and has waived a formal arraignment. We're going to schedule this for a probable cause hearing, okay?
Okay.
All right.
The man accused in the deadly shooting at a country club wedding over the weekend in court for the first time. We're wondering, what was his alleged motive? And Arizona father Chris Schulte is awaiting trial for the hot car death of his little girl. Now this as history of abusive claims are being brought to light from his other child.
The Court TV podcast will return.
Welcome back. This morning, we're waiting to hear what could have been the motivation behind a deadly shooting in New Hampshire. A man has been arrested after allegedly opening fire at a country club during a wedding over the weekend, killing one man and wounding others. 23-year-old Hunter Nadeau is charged with murder for the death of 59-year-old Robert DeCesar. Police say the accused killer walked into the country club, had a handgun, and just started shooting. Said the incident lasted about a minute. Reports say the gunman was shouting, quote, "Free Palestine," right before the shooting started. Nadeau appeared in court for the first time on Monday. Court TV's Cody Thomas has more.
Good morning, Julie. The accused murderer, 23-year-old Hunter Nadeau, briefly appeared in court Monday afternoon as he faces charges of reckless second-degree murder. Nadeau appeared via video link from jail. He did not enter any sort of plea and only spoke to answer the judge's questions.
Mr. Nadeau, I understand you've had an opportunity to meet with counsel.
Yes.
And she has gone over the charge in this matter and has waived a formal arraignment. We're going to schedule this for a probable cause hearing, okay?
Okay.
All right.
The shooting happened at the Sky Meadow Country Club last Saturday in Nashua, New Hampshire, a country club where police officials say Nadeau used to work about a year ago. Now, there was a wedding reception on one side of the venue and people simply eating at a restaurant on the other side. And a total of 7 people were injured, 4 adults with non-gunshot wounds, 2 with gunshot wounds, including an employee, and 1 man who was killed in the crossfire, 59-year-old husband and father Robert DeCesar Jr. Now, DeCesar leaves behind his wife and 3 children, including a daughter who was supposed to be getting married in November.
I want to talk a little bit about the statements he's made and what we know about his motive. There's been reports that he made certain statements such as Free Palestine, but based on the evidence we have gathered, Mr. NATO made a number of statements during the event, and we don't have any evidence at this time that would indicate that Mr. NATO was motivated by a hate-based motivation. In fact, I would say that at this point, the evidence leads us to believe that it is more likely that Mr. NATO was simply trying to make a number of statements to create chaos in the moment.
Now, during that same press conference, Formella said they were not prepared to comment on whether the suspect officially had a target. He also said whether NATO was fired or quit the job a year ago is unclear right now in the early stages of the investigation. And the owner of the Sky Meadow Country Club also released a statement saying, quote, "We will not let the cowardly acts of this perpetrator define us." Julie?
Our thanks to Cody Thomas for that report. Let's bring in our power panel to weigh in on this. Manuel Gomez, private investigator, is with us, as well as attorneys Melba Pearson and Randolph Rice. I want to start with you, please, Manuel. In terms of what kind of an attack this was, what are your thoughts on that, please?
Well, first of all, I disagree with the prosecutor saying that this is not a race-based case. It is, because his primary target was America. Him saying Free Palestine is because he did not like America's political views. That's what that statement states. That's one. Two, I have to commend the person that threw a chair at him and saved lives, because he only shot 3 people, Julie, and he could have shot anywhere between 9 and 15, depending on the type of handgun that he had. But at a minimum, he could have shot between 6 and 9 people. So I commend and salute that person for being such a hero. But people have to take precautionary measures. We are in the year of the serial killer. You need to take measures. Hire a private investigator that's armed to protect your venues. I'm sorry, I know we shouldn't live in fear, but you know what? If you're gonna have a wedding, spend the extra $600-700 to get an armed guard who's well-dressed and to blend in with the crowd. Be protected, America. We need to. This is the year of the killer.
Yeah, you're so right, Manuel. I was saying to my colleagues off air, things are getting so scary everywhere. I mean, we're at an attempted massacre, I should say, at a country club. I mean, you're right. There's no place that's safe. What place is safe anymore? You're absolutely right, Manuel. Well said. Let's talk some more about the motivation, the charging going on here, and what we expect for this prosecution and for this defendant going forward. Melba Pearson, let's start with you with the prosecution, and then Randolph, I'm going to move to you and talk a little bit about things from the defense perspective. So Melba, in terms of what they need to do here, I have a statement from the chief. Let me play this clip. He's describing the shooting, then the subsequent arrest, and we'll talk about what charges may be most appropriate.
As you come in, there's the reception halls, banquet halls onto the right-hand side. The first gentleman that was shot was, if you want to call him a host, but he was working for, I would say, the wedding venue as a host out here in the hallway by the bathrooms. The further incident, the next shooting, was in the Prime restaurant. He did not get away. He was cooperative. They found him in a nearby neighborhood. But again, put yourself in the officer's shoes. You think there's 2 out there. It's a very dangerous situation, so tactics have to come into play. But they did find him in a nearby neighborhood.
Okay, Melba, based on the facts as we know them now, what charges are you expecting for this guy, please?
So good morning, everyone. And I think here we're looking at second-degree murder based on what we know at this juncture. Obviously, law enforcement will be mining his social media, talking to people within his circle, trying to figure out his motivation to try to put the pieces together. But based on what we know, it seems like second-degree murder because we have no evidence of premeditation. Now, he may have premeditated this, but it fits more squarely within second-degree murder. But also, I just want to make sure everyone knows, the prosecutor doesn't need to prove motive. They need to prove the intent, but they don't need to prove motive. So at the end of the day, the statements could be inflammatory. It could be just something he's saying just because, but my understanding is that he's a former employee. So this could be an employment dispute that he is also just escalating to another level. So these are all things to keep in mind, but I'm thinking second-degree murder.
Melba, thank you so much for that. Randolph, I want to talk to you about this guy, this defendant, Hunter Nadeau. He's got lots of problems. So this instant case, and then Randolph, according to court documents, he had a simple assault case in April. And he was disposed of with a misdemeanor, and he's got to remain on good behavior for 12 months, but now he's picked up another criminal case. What do you expect to happen with this guy, Randolph?
Well, he's certainly layering trouble on top of trouble. He's probably going to have a violation of probation for that previous assault, but that really that pales in comparison to what he's facing here. If I'm the defense attorney, I'm starting off with preliminary hearing. I want to get my free discovery. I want to have a chance to question any witnesses, and then I start going through the discovery. But I got to tell you, if I'm defense, I'm praying that those two individuals in the hospital pull through, because I don't want additional charges for my client.
Definitely. A great point, Randolph. Manuel Gomez, I want to go back to you, please. You know that one thing we love to do with you on this program is ask you for safety advice, safety tips. We do this with a lot of the cases that come up. And just looking at this case as an example, so you have somebody looking to take out multiple people at a country club, at a wedding, when people are happy and unsuspecting. What advice do you have for anyone who finds themselves in a situation, God forbid, like this, where they're encountering a shooter in a place where they're unsuspecting?
Well, first of all, you should hire a minimum of 2 armed personnel to secure your venue if it's 25 or more. Second, if a shooting immediately happens, get down low, get underneath the chair, get underneath the table, get underneath the hard object so that it will deflect the bullet and your chances of survival are greater. Unfortunately, this is the time we live in. You need to take preventative actions. You hear a shot, get down low.
Thank you so much, Manuel Gomez. I truly appreciate you, your time, your expertise. You have cases to solve. We need to let you go. Black Ops, private investigators is your business. Thank you very much. Our legal eagles, Melba Pearson and Randolph Rice, are coming with us. Do the same at home, please. When we come back, here's what's next on Opening Statements. Remember this guy, the father accused in the hot car death of his daughter? Well, turns out he's got a history of child abuse claims from another one of his children. And we're looking through the eyes of the jury in the Machete murder trial. Could the optics in the courtroom and those eyeglasses right there tip the scales of justice? We'll discuss.
Now, back to the Court TV podcast.
Welcome back. In our spotlight this morning, the Arizona father who will soon go on trial for the hot car death of his little girl. Now we're learning Christopher Schultz has a history of child abuse complaints that he allegedly referred to an older child of his as a mistake. Schultz is accused of leaving his 2-year-old daughter Parker in a hot car for hours last July while he was watching porn and playing video games. He's charged with first-degree murder for Parker's death, and his defense team has filed a motion to try to delay the trial, but the judge said no. Here's Schultz talking to officers right after Parker was discovered in the car.
How long was she sleeping in the car out there?
I want to say it was no more than 30, 45 minutes. And I don't think her air was off that entire time. I think there was a time in between I had checked on her last, it was still running, she was still sleeping, and then when I went back out, the car was off.
Records from Arizona's Department of Child Safety show a history of child abuse complaints made against Schultz that date back 11 years. They involve an older daughter of his. Now, this daughter is not from his current wife. DCS reports ranging from 2014 to the year 2020 show that Schultz was accused of slapping the child, leaving bruises on the child, and failing to help the girl manage her diabetes. Now, all of these complaints were ruled unsubstantiated, but the child did move to the care of her birth mother. Let's talk about this. Let's bring back in former homicide prosecutor Melba Pearson. Welcome in the former Georgia director of the Department of Children and Family Services. He's also an attorney, Tom Rawlings. Tom, let me start with you on this, please. What do you make of these unsubstantiated claims that were brought against Chris Schultes?
Honestly, I've read and I'm not sure why they're unsubstantiated. This is a long history of abuse against children. This man, if we licensed parents, he would never have been able to care for a child. And there's some really good organizations, especially in Arizona, doing good work. The Center for the Rights of Abused Children in Arizona is one of the best in the country. It really, to me, it looks like part of the issue here is that Arizona DCS, over the course of a number of years, just really failed to see that this guy was a danger to children and should not have been able to have custody of children, because this is the kind of thing that happens when you have people who are negligent, or even, I think in his case, allegations were physically abusive against children. It's really sad.
Right. Boy, Tom, appreciate your insight on that. Chris Schultes told officers that he left his daughter Parker in the car because she was asleep. Let's take a listen to that clip.
She was sleeping in the car, and I had the car on, but it has a sensor where every 30 minutes or so it'll turn off if you haven't moved. I swore she was in the house playing with her sisters like she always does.
Okay, Melba, let's talk about whether we may see a plea deal here. So apparently his attorney made a comment that his client might be open to settlement before the trial begins. We know that he declined a plea offer to second-degree murder. Do you think there's some room for resolution here?
I think there is, because he's pretty much in trouble if he goes to trial. I don't see a scenario where he's going to be found not guilty, because common sense would dictate if your child is asleep, it is hot outside, you don't leave your child in the car. Like, you take the child into the house where they can sleep in their bed or in their crib or whatever the case may be. So I don't see any reasonable juror saying, oh, okay, what he did was reasonable. It doesn't make sense at all. So I see a conviction in his future. So it's either going to be the slow way by going to trial and getting a conviction at the end, or the faster way where he actually takes a plea and avoids going to trial.
Sure. I have another clip of him. This is body camera footage of him at the scene talking with the officers.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I don't want to feel like we're intruding, but we're going to have to stand by with you for a while. All right.
Is there a reason why?
So any death, we have to treat like a crime scene. I know this is extremely difficult for you. This is a normal process that we have to follow through with. I don't want you to be blindsided by anything, but that's what's going to be going on for right now, okay?
So I'm being treated like a murderer?
No.
I just lost my face.
Not at all. I know that.
Tom Rawlings, I want your reaction to that video we just watched. What do you think, please?
Julie, I've dealt with many cases in which parents made the mistake of forgetting their child was in a car, okay? This guy intentionally left his little child in a car in July in Arizona, and then plays the victim. It's sort of like the guy who kills his parents and then says, "How can you charge me? I'm an orphan." I don't know if he's just that sociopathic, or whether he simply is just too stupid to know what he's doing. Honestly, this is the kind of situation where I really don't understand why this guy was ever allowed to be around a child. This is one of the worst cases of all. It's not even an accident. He intentionally left that child in the car so he could go apparently drink and watch porn, and then he's surprised at the results.
Great points, Tom. You know, Melba, when we think about this too, I'd love to talk to you about intentionality and the prosecution's perspective here, what to offer him. We know they were willing to say plead to second degree. He rejected that. Do you think it would be reasonable for them to go lower here, perhaps a voluntary manslaughter offer or something that's going to require a hefty period of incarceration, perhaps somewhat of a hybrid with a lengthy period of probation to follow? What do you think would be most reasonable to get justice for this little girl and also recognize fairness and interests of justice in coming to an agreement, if at all possible?
Of course, Julie. I mean, I could say if I was the prosecutor in this case, I would not go lower than second-degree murder. I don't see any reason to do so. The evidence is strong. The evidence is clear. You know, as my colleague just stated, there are cases, I believe there was one out of Georgia, where the gentleman left the child in the car and went to on the train and went to work and literally was at work and was like, oh my gosh, I think I left my child in the car, and freaked out, tried to come back and rectify it, and unfortunately the child passed away. So that to me is more of a situation where, okay, manslaughter or something along those lines, because there's a genuine error that occurred there, right? And sometimes, you know, we may have a lot of things in your mind. I could see how that happens. But this was intentional. He knew the temperature. He knew his child was in the car. He knew the danger his child was facing, and yet he picked his own narcissistic needs over the needs of his child. There is no permutation, Julie, that I would be giving him. I mean, they're better than me. I probably wouldn't have gone lower than first-degree murder. He could have pled to that first, and we could have, you know, talked about the time. But if it was me, he's pleading to that first. But be that as it may, plead a second, but I would say not any lower than that. Not any lower than that.
I hear you, Melba. Excellent points you're making. Yeah, this guy, it looks to me like he's probably going to have to go to trial. I mean, it just, you know, and as you both have said, these prosecutors have every reason to be confident in their case. It's him who should be worried. I thought he should have thanked them. I thought second degree would be a generous offer and move forward, but you know, he's not my client, not my case, but we'll report any developments, and we're tracking this trial. We will be filming it when the time comes. Great talk with you both as always. Melba Pearson, thank you. Tom Rawlings, thank you. We'll see you both very soon. Coming up next here on Opening Statements.
Prior to that day, within like that previous week, did you see him with a weapon?
Yes, I did.
What'd you see him with?
Machete.
We're talking about the optics in the Iowa courtroom for the Machete murder trial. Is it tipping the scales of justice anyway? We'll be right back.
This is the Court TV podcast.
Welcome back. Let's talk about what's tipping the scales in the Machete murder plot trial that's going to be resuming this morning. The jury has heard some damaging testimony against defendant Dakota Van Patten. But could the courtroom optics tip the scales of justice as well? The state continues laying out its case against this guy. Statements made to those closest to him could be really tough for his defense team to get around, including what he told one witness on the night that Melody Hoffman was murdered.
I said, so what's up? You seem like there's something on your mind, so get off your chest. What's going on? And he was like, I killed somebody. And I said, my mind just went blank. I was so confused. I was like, and you're in my house telling me this as a female that, you know, could happen to me at any second. And I was just confused. I said, what for? Who? And he said, that Melody girl. And I said, for what? What did a poor innocent girl do to you? As a man, what did a girl do to you? And he just said it had to be done. I said, there shouldn't be nothing that had to be done about that. Not at all.
That was Taya Jomeyer, who we just heard from, really critical witness for the state of Iowa. A lot of people were not only talking about her testimony, but about what appeared to be kind of a It almost looked like a naked look, a very bare look, depending upon the way in which the camera angle was being shot. And when we put our fonts at the bottom of the screen, those banners you see with the information, it almost looked like she didn't have clothes on. At one point, I said on the air yesterday, I said, yes, this witness is wearing clothes. And many of you got a kick out of that comment on X. I said it was the quote of the day here on Court TV, because this kind of bareness isn't typical in courtrooms. So let's talk about this look with this witness, whether it distracted the jury at all, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the defendant as well. Let's bring in attorney Randolph Rice. Okay, Randolph, could this have been so distracting that it could have taken away from the good information that this witness offered?
You know, she looks like she's going to the club and not the courthouse, and that really is on the shoulders of the prosecutor. You know, we always would tell people, dress like you're going to church. That's how you need to come to court, because that's how you want to present in front of the jury. Does it take away? They might sort of say, all right, look, she's young. This is the way the young people dress nowadays, and they might dismiss it. Does it give much weight or take away the weight from what she said? You know, that's a tough one to say. I think that they might overlook this and get past it.
Right, Randolph. Hopefully, for the prosecution's sake, they will, because, I mean, this witness, I mean, she really is key to the case. I mean, you know, and if you're on the defense side, they were probably loving that and maybe hoping that it would perhaps discredit her. Let's move on and look at the defendant's look, Randolph, drawing your attention to the lovely piece of tape on the side of his eyeglasses, taped eyeglasses. So this also got a lot of people talking. Do you think there's some intentionality behind this?
You know, that's a great question, Julie. My guess is he probably broke them while being held in the detention center, and this was his only way to fix this. It's obviously not going to get explained to the jury, and they might look at this and say, like, well, this kid's kind of a disaster. He's kind of a mess, you know? Like, and if the defense's argument is that he was the one being pushed into doing this, then they might be like, oh, well, it looks like this is kind of the way he lives his life, just sort of getting by and making it work.
Mm-hmm. Right, Randolph. Good point. Yeah, it's interesting because when we think of tape on the eyeglasses, you know, we always think, oh, that's like the, you know, iconic nerdy look. Is this intentional? Is it something to make the jury feel a little sorry? Oh, he's got broken glasses, couldn't get them fixed, you know. And is it to evoke some sympathy from the jurors? I wonder, and as our line producer Katie pointed out, we don't see him wearing the glasses in the mug shots. You know, you don't see him having them on at other points in time. So always makes me wonder, because I've seen, and I'm sure you have, Randolph, too. I'm sure you could tell stories, different attorneys I would go up against. There would be different things done for trial. There was one attorney I used to go up against, and she would pop on a wedding ring every time we picked a jury. She wasn't married, but she would put that ring on, you know. So, you know, I have no idea if he's got eye problems. What do you think? Do you think that it could be distracting in any way, Randolph, for the jury?
No, I don't think it's distracting. But remember, court is theater, in part theater, right? We're trying to get the evidence out, but it is theater. You have to present that image to the jury as to what you want them to believe.
Randolph Rice, you're staying with us. We're so grateful for that. My friends, this is all for opening statements. Grateful for your company this hour. That's all for this episode of Opening Statements, my friends. I'm your host, Julie Grant, and it's been great being with you. On this show, I am calling out any pants on fire moments in our big trials and true crime stories, and I want you to come along with me. Opening Statements is live every weekday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern on Court TV. Thank you for downloading this episode. Please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends. You can watch past shows anytime you like on CourtTV.com.